everybody, it's Jordan. Welcome back to another video from me at AfroLivity. Hope you've been enjoying the recent uploads. Today I want to get into more debunking and hopefully some allaying of fears. So I'm going to be talking about protein. Now, I'm sure every person who's been vegan at one stage has been asked this in their life. Well, yeah, sure. It's cool that you're going vegan and everything then, but where do you get your protein from? It's quite funny really hearing that question because there's a lot of, the truth is only plants can make protein. But anyway, I'm going to get to the whole science in a minute. So today I'm going to be busting some more myths, getting to the bottom of some of the nonsense I hear about protein on plant-based diets and that meat protein is supposed to be better than plant-based protein. I want to essentially get to the bottom of that, get to the truth, and hopefully if you're thinking about going on a plant-based diet or you're on one and you're sort of worried about your protein intake, then you'll be totally fine. So let's get to the beginning of it. So what is protein? Proteins are effectively just made up from building blocks called amino acids. So we get amino acids from our food and other sources, and our bodies can assemble these amino acids into the proteins that we need for growth and repair of muscle cells and whatever else in the body. Now, there are 8 amino acids that we can't actually make. They have to come from our food, and these are called essential amino acids. Now, everything that we eat commonly in our diet, everything, with the exception of gelatin, which is from animals anyway, contains all 8 of the essential amino acids. Everything, from animal sources to plant sources, with the exclusion of gelatin. So, no matter what you eat, feasibly you can get all of the amino acids you want just from eating just general food. So let's look at how much protein we actually need. So for an actual average adult human, you need about 42 grams of protein a day. So that's a sedentary person, you know, that's average between men and women as well. So it may be close to 50 if you're a large guy and you're sedentary. Obviously, if you're an athlete, you will need a bit more protein, but I'm talking about on an average person, so for the general public this is. And so when you look at this study of 75,751 people done in the States on the Adventists, the follow-up to the first Adventist health study, this one looks at the diets of people who were from full meat eaters all the way across the spectrum to vegans, and this is the graph of the amount of protein that they got. And this red line that's about to come up shows you the average amount of protein that each person needs. It shows that no matter what these people were eating, and this is a study of tens of thousands of individuals, not one of them was short of getting enough protein. So there we have it. Really quick evidence there showing that no matter what your diet is, if you're living in a country and you've got good food security and you're eating enough calories a day, so these people in the Adventist health study, they were getting 2,000 calories a day on each of the 5 diets there, and none of them were short of protein. So as long as you're eating enough food, protein is never listed as a nutrient of concern for the general public because dietetic societies know that people are eating enough protein. They can see it in the statistics. So what I think people should really be worried about is their fiber. Now, if you look in the UK, I think women get probably close to 50% of the daily recommended amount of fiber, and men maybe close to 65, 66%. In either case, the majority of people in the UK are not eating enough fiber. They only need to get 30 grams of fiber a day. Yesterday I ate 3 meals and I ate 101 grams of fiber. That is pure plant power. If you didn't know, fiber is only found in plant foods. You cannot get fiber from any animal product. So if this is one of the reasons why in the UK and in the US as well, definitely in most of the Western world where our diets are very meat-based, animal protein-based, we're so deficient in fiber. So I think the next time somebody asks, where'd you get your protein? You should probably ask them, where'd you get your fiber? Fiber is extremely important. It's one of the reasons why colorectal cancer rates in the West are extremely high. And when you look at America, for example, they have one of the highest rates of colorectal cancer prevalence in the world. And the people in America who have the highest rates of that are actually black Americans. And I'm sure it's pretty similar for black Britons too, and maybe in the Caribbean as well, where our more traditional ancestral diets from Africa have been replaced by westernized diets. So our traditional diets would be more plant-based, loads of fiber, loads of nutrients, and then now, because we're all living in the West, we've got more access to a westernized diet. And obviously, depending on where you grow up, a lot of different black neighborhoods have got sort of the worst access to food. I know, especially near where I grew up, and people I've heard abroad and in other countries, you get all these bad like fast food shops. You've got supermarkets that sell the worst of the worst bits of meats, and this is what people have got to live off. So no wonder that our communities have got some of the highest rates of these diseases, because it's in the food that's around us. So it's one of the many reasons why I'm passionate about trying to debunk a lot of these myths, particularly from my community as well, because a lot of these diseases are caused by the diets that we've adopted because we're now in the West. See, my ancestors would have been from Africa, and our people were living on plant-based diets. So when people started to look at medical records of people on the continent, they realized that they weren't suffering with the diseases that we're so used to seeing in the West. There was no obesity, no heart disease, no real risk of cancer. All of these things which are so commonplace weren't in different parts of Africa, notably Kenya and Uganda. There was a lot of research, and they found that there were basically very few people with any heart problems, no one constipated, nobody had diverticulitis, no colon cancer, no rectal cancer, none of that kind of stuff, because their diets are very rich in fiber. Okay, so for some people you'll tell them, yeah, well, you can get protein from plants, all protein comes from plants. But then some will say, yeah, but the amino acids are better from animals, plant proteins are inferior. So here's a little table of some of the common myths that are thrown about when it comes down to discussing plant proteins. I think the most common one is, again, that plant proteins are inferior, or you need to combine your proteins to get a full protein when eating plants. Now, this is a myth this is something that is spread even by nutritionists. So the British Nutrition Foundation, on their website, they have a section about protein, and they talk about it being available in both animal and plant sources, but if you want the best protein, you have to get it from animals. And if you want it from plants, then you can get it. They say vegetarians and vegans are able to get enough protein by mixing their intake of food at each meal. So for somebody who's looking into maybe being plant-based, they'll see sentences like these and think, oh, extra effort, I have to think about mixing my food. Because the average person doesn't want to be sitting all day calculating how much they have to mix with this to get the complete protein. People just want to eat. And so when you see things like that, it puts people off. They think, oh, well, why am I going to make this change to my diet? It's not sustainable. I don't want to be spending every minute of my life calculating things. I just want to eat to have fun, right? So I see things like these, and I think, you know, some individuals may think the idea of protein combining is minor when compared to all the other benefits, but for me, when I see that, one, the protein combining thing is not even true. I'm going to get to that in a minute. But two, it puts people off actually changing their diet. But yeah, actually getting onto the protein combining myth. So in this 2007 report from the World Health Organization, where they teamed up with like food, agricultural societies and whatever, they looked at how protein is actually used in the body. And surprisingly, they found this. So this little extract essentially says that there's an endogenous source of protein, so protein from within our body. So we actually have stores of protein. Between 70 to 100 grams a day is just recycled into our gut whenever we need it. Our body knows to put protein into the digestive system. So for example, we eat a meal that, for example, has 6 of the 8 amino acids in abundance, and then 2 of them are slightly lower. Well, the fact that we've got this like sea of amino acids just waiting means that our bodies are able to take out the little bits that are missing and make the complete package. So regardless of whether you're an omnivore or whether you're on a plant-based diet, you are going to get all of those amino acids in your diet at some point. And as you can see, most of it is absorbed before it's lost to the stool anyway. So again, protein combining is a myth. You do not need to be combining rice and beans to get a complete protein. Your body is not a test tube. The human body is extremely complex and extremely intelligent. You do not need to mix things together at the right time within a certain time frame, otherwise our bodies collapse and fall apart. No, the human body is incredibly resistant, resilient and smart, and it recycles protein. So again, there's another thing. I know a lot of vegans actually believe in this protein combining thing. You don't have to worry about it as long as, again, you've got a wide range of foods in your diet. you're eating a good, healthy, whole food, plant-based diet, there's absolutely nothing to worry about. So plant proteins, again, they are a fantastic source of protein for the human body. You're never going to be short of protein, you're eating enough calories, so do not worry about that. Some really good sources of protein. I love brown rice, I love all beans, I love lentils, potatoes are a good source of protein, broccoli, all these, spinach of course, all of these things I love to eat, and I'm never worried about how much protein I'm eating. I mean, I do a lot of calisthenics and I mix some weight training in there too, so I'm not really worried about getting enough protein on my diet. Next on the agenda is the actual problems of eating animal protein as opposed to plant protein. Animal proteins, once they enter our body, they take ages to get out because we have a really long digestive system. For true carnivores, their digestive systems are far shorter than ours. So once they eat meat, it digests really strong in a really powerful stomach acid, many times stronger than ours, and it gets passed out of their bodies quickly. Now for us, it takes ages to break it down, and then when it gets to the colon, it goes through a process called putrefaction. It putrefies basically. So what this means is it starts to get broken down by enzymes and it produces all of these toxic side effects like ammonia, produces different carcinogens and other things. It sits on our colon just waiting to go. That is one of the issues with consuming lots of meat, is that our digestive system is not designed to be holding on to animal flesh. Carnivores get rid of the animal flesh quickly because they don't want it in their body for a long time, otherwise it would putrefy and it would harm them. So when we're now trying to eat like carnivores, we have all of this stuff in our body that's hanging around in the colon where fiber's supposed to be, which builds up the bulk of the stool, which helps the health of our gut. It produces all these health benefits as well, having a lot of fiber in your colon, but once you're replacing that fiber with animal products, you're running into a lot of issues. Now in your whole digestive system, when you're eating meat on a regular basis, your gut bacteria or microbiota, they evolve differently to those who eat plant-based. So we have sort of meat-eating bacteria and we have plant-eating ones. And when your diet is skewed to one or the other, the bacteria which eat that type of food proliferate more. So unfortunately, the flesh-eating bacteria, they produce a lot of nasty side effects. The liver, for example, is very good at detoxifying certain carcinogens which are in meat, but flesh-eating bacteria in the body actually converts that detoxified carcinogen back to the original carcinogen, so then it can wreak havoc in your body after your liver's detoxified it. So it basically negates the body's natural defense against these things. Furthermore, when animal protein is broken down by these bacteria, they produce something called trimethylamine, which is metabolized into trimethylamine oxide, or TMAO. TMAO, independent of cholesterol, saturated fat, and all these other risk factors, is a huge risk for cardiovascular disease. So people with elevated levels of TMAO, regardless of their cholesterol and saturated fat, have got a higher risk of developing coronary artery disease, cardiovascular disease, the biggest killer of people in the world. Furthermore, animal protein stimulates more of this hormone in your body called IGF-1, insulin-like growth factor 1. It's the most potent growth hormone in the body. It's incredibly strong. It's what gets us from babies to fully grown adults throughout our lives. And essentially, once our bodies produce too much of this IGF-1 is normal, but once you have elevated levels, elevated IGF-1 has been linked to every single stage of cancer, from its development initially to the metastasis throughout the rest of the body. So it is really something you do not want to be having a high level of. On top of that, animal protein also increases your stress levels. Once you eat it, it increases your inflammation. It does a terrible job on your kidneys, especially once you get older, because your kidneys don't do so well. Your kidneys naturally slow down in function as you get older, and if you're eating a lot of animal protein, you're going to be putting your kidneys under unnecessary stress. And while research doesn't necessarily say that animal protein is the cause of damage to kidneys, if you are somebody who already has kidney issues or you're getting older, eating animal protein undoubtedly reduces kidney function, and in the long term, especially for extreme cases, can lead to total renal failure. So do not take this lightly. Animal protein is not something that we should be consuming. If you want to get your protein, you should really be getting it from plants. It's the safest way because it doesn't have any of these negative effects. It's protective because it comes with fiber. It lowers your stress levels, lowers your inflammation, protects against all these other hormones in your body. It helps neutralize any issues you have. So plants are the way. People who eat plants have got more protein in their blood, as I mentioned in my 8 reasons to go vegan video. You know, for men as well, there's eventually a lot of guys out there that eating a load of meat because they think it's going to get them powerful in the gym. Well, eating animal protein actually lowers your testosterone. So for all you guys who think I need testosterone to be high, I'm a super powerful man, get your power from plants. And a lot of these dietetic societies or nutrition boards who give the public advice, which is they claim to be independent, but I looked at the British Nutrition Foundation, the list of supporters and backers. They've paired with Danone, and Danone is a major supporter of sort of their information and their educational schemes, so they give donations. But Danone is one of the largest dairy producers in the world, so you know that any advice that the British Nutrition Foundation gives isn't very unlikely to give people the full story about what dairy does to their body. So yeah, that was just a quick video to talk about protein, try to break some more myths again. If you take anything from this video, it should be plant proteins are superior to animal proteins, not only because you meet all of your needs, but also because they're protective against so many diseases, and animal proteins actually drive your risk higher from getting diseases. Hopefully it will mean that we can save more animals, we can care for the environment, and we can actually leave a healthy planet for the next generations of people to come. So that's all from me. I hope you enjoyed this video. Subscribe, like, comment, share, and I'll see you in the next one. Bless up.